This is a special presentation of NBC Sports Washington, powered by Xfinity.
You want to get that ring right there.
Dwayne Haskins Jr. played through an ankle injury last week, but he was a full participant at practice. Says he is good to go. Looking for a second win at home, first start against an NFC East team, and his former coach is in the house to watch him today. Could there be more to that as we welcome you into Redskins Kickoff Live? Julie Donaldson, Brian Mitchell, Santana Moss, Trevor Matich. The season is winding down, which means more questions on what will happen next season are winding up. We're going to get to that because there is a special guest in the house today here at FedEx Field. But first, you do have the Eagles coming up. Santana, we're going to start with your opening thoughts.
All right. Despite the record, the Washington Redskins have showed no quit under the interim head coach, Bill Callahan. 3 divisional opponents left, 2 playoff hopefuls. The mood is set. Spoilers.
And if they're going to be spoilers, they're going to have to attack the weaknesses of the Philadelphia Eagles. They cannot cover in the secondary on defense. Offensively, most of their weapons that they started the season with are now injured. Attack the weaknesses. Go out there if you're going to win this football game.
And they especially can't cover on the deep passes. And last week, some of the best passes from Dwayne Haskins were incompletions where he threw a terrific pass, but the receiver just wasn't quite able to pull it in. They have another opportunity to connect on those against a secondary that has been getting torched.
Yeah, the Eagles will give you opportunities. How much will the Redskins be able to take advantage? Here's what is coming up on Redskins Kickoff Live. Much more in Dwayne Haskins Jr. as our crew debates whether or not he should have stayed in last week's game. And injuries are starting to mount after flashes of potential. Darius Geis, once again, his season is at a disappointing end. Plus, rumors have been swirling all week around the Redskins front office. Could Bruce Allen be out of Washington? Philadelphia Eagles are in town, and that means Carson Wentz. He typically plays pretty well against Washington, but he's going to have to deal with Matt Ioannidis, Landon Collins, and Montez Sweat coming after him. Can they pile on the pressure on the Eagles as everything is back at FedEx Field for the first time in December? The 6-7 Eagles are in town. The Redskins are reduced to playing the role of spoiler in the NFC East. Can they do that today? The final 3 remaining games on the season are against division foes. And this week, interim head coach Bill Callahan said, it is important, it is vital that the guys on this team, the players, understand how important these games are. You're not playing for the playoffs, but division games matter, and today you're playing the role of spoiler.
Yeah, you do, and I think division games do matter, but still, whenever you step on that football field, it matters. Because people are always looking at how you're going to handle it. And when you're not playing very well, when your team isn't in it, and you still go out there, if you go out there and you keep fighting, you have an opportunity to be on somebody's team. If you go out there and you quit, then you don't have that opportunity. So they got to keep fighting throughout.
And it also matters because you haven't beaten a divisional opponent yet this year.
7
and
straight.
You haven't done it in, almost 14-something months. So I think it's very important that they go out here and play well. And not only play well, just know what's at stake. You know, the Philadelphia Eagles have something to really play for. You do too. Your job, and to make sure that you can embarrass them and make sure they lose hope of going to the next level.
I think when people think of the opportunity to be a spoiler because your opportunity for the playoff is now gone, that's only one reason to play. There are a lot of positive reasons to go out and win this game. Just like you said, there's a lot of things to play for, not just to take something away from the Eagles.
And a lot of that, as you guys are saying right here, is that what are you going to be doing next season? Where are you going to be next year? As we now go to our Redskins insider down on the sideline, we bring in JP Finley. JP, if we do talk about next season, we talk about a very important visitor today here at FedEx Field. Tell us who is in town and what it could potentially mean. This is presented by Oarsman Automotive of Virginia, by the way.
News at FedEx Field. If you go on Twitter right now, it's buzzing with Urban Meyer's arrival at FedEx Field today. Everybody knows Urban, obviously, as the head coach at Ohio State and at Florida. He won national championships at both spots. But think about this. When Urban first made his name as a national coach of merit was with Alex Smith at the University of Utah. So Urban is here, and there's a lot of reasons to be excited about that. Obviously, I believe the Redskins would love to land Urban Meyer as their head coach. I don't know that that's going to happen. He's been heavily linked with the Dallas Cowboys. What can the Skins offer that the Cowboys don't? Urban can get full control in D.C. That's never going to happen in Dallas. But keep in mind, he knows Alex Smith very well. He knows Dwayne Haskins very well, Terry McLaurin very well. He coached those guys just a couple years ago at Ohio State. So don't jump to too many conclusions that Urban Meyer is in the building today at FedEx Field, and it's believed he's going to be sitting with owner Dan Snyder during the game.
All right, very interesting. It's something to keep our eye on as the offseason is nearing all too soon at times. It's already here for Darius Geis, though, because he was placed on the IR. It's the third time in 2 years he's been doing that. So that also means that Adrian Peterson is going to be carrying more of the load. And JP, it's amazing. We're talking about how he is potentially on the verge of another 1,000-yard season.
Yeah, AP's sitting at 718 rush yards on the season. He needs 94 per game to get to 1,000. If he can get to 1,000, he'd be the first 34-year-old running back to hit that milestone since John Riggins with these Washington Redskins in 1983. And if AP can do it next year, there's only one 35-year-old in the Super Bowl era to do it. That's John Riggins in 1984. Maybe AP can get there. Here's the thing with Geis, though. I'm not entirely sure that he's comfortable with where his knee is. It's my understanding he might be looking for second opinions. The word is that it's a sprained MCL. There could be more going on there. I wouldn't be shocked if we hear that Darius Geis takes another trip down to Pensacola to see famed surgeon Dr. James Andrews.
Yeah, I know he is definitely on the lookout for that 100%. Also, though, if we do talk about injuries, they're mounting up for the Redskins. Brandon Sheriff now out.
Yeah, that's a big one. If you looked at the Redskins inactives, there's some familiar names, but Brandon Sheriff being out could have a big dent in Adrian Peterson's plans to get to 94 and to hopefully get to 1,000 on the season. Sheriff was limited on the injury report all week, but he did practice. Him being out today, I got word of this late last night that Sheriff might not be playing today, and that there could be more going on between his elbow and his shoulder that Redskins fans have understood. Something to definitely watch in these last 3 games.
All right, also coming up, since it is getting that time of year, we are talking a little bit about the Pro Bowl. You had a good interview talking with Nick Sundberg and Tress Way about that.
Yeah, thank you, Julie. I think plenty of Redskins fans say Tress Way is the team's best player. I'll say he's been their most consistent player for 2 seasons now. Tress has a real good chance to make the Pro Bowl. Announcements will be made next week. We sat down and talked with him and Sundberg, who's the Redskins' Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee. You guys are going to enjoy this. We try to get those two, who are often laughing and joking, to be a bit more serious for this conversation.
All right, we look forward to that. Those guys are so great. They're always so much fun to cover, easy to work with as well. They deserve the recognition. Of course, Tress deserves the nod. A lot of stuff to pay attention to today, and especially as the season does wind down. Thank you very much, JP. We'll see you a little bit later.
Thanks very much, Julie.
Guys, one thing of note there is we're talking about Adrian Peterson, and remember, he was on the street not too long ago before they actually brought him back in here, and he said he kept hearing 282, 282. Guys kept saying it to him, the O-lineman, and he's like, what are you talking about, 282? 282, and he gets to 1,000. Santana, I mean, why is that still so important for him right now to do?
I think personally, you know, any guy that has a chance to reach a milestone is always special. When it comes down to AP and his age alone, people feel that when you get a certain age in this league, you're a dinosaur. And he's showing the league and showing everyone else that he can still play at a high level. Now, on the other side of that, when you have an offensive line that was kind of makeshift early in the year, it's a big accomplishment if you can sit there and hang your hat and say, regardless of what you thought of us, we went out there and put up another 1,000 yards in the backfield with a guy like Adrian Peterson to help him pile on the extra yardage and milestones to his career.
And Trevor, the linemen, they want to do that for him. You know, Eric Flowers, he was saying he's really enjoying the run game. Morgan Moses saying he wants to help him get to that 1,000 yard.
Yeah, they want to help him. That's what offensive linemen do, is enable other people to reach their goals, and the whole team does. But the great thing about offensive linemen is that they're passionate. This group has been maligned all year long, and they feel it, and they hate it. And I think part of the vindication for them and a lot of the good work that they've been doing, especially down the stretch, will be if they can get Adrian Peterson over the top to 1,000 yards. And so I remember that offensive linemen, they seem like just big old lovable silent teddy bears. Inside, they are fiery competitors, and they're more than a little dangerous. They would love to get this for them.
And I think when people looked at the offensive line at the beginning of the season, they didn't expect a lot of them. And if you can still get a guy at 34 years old to get 1,000 yards, that says a lot about what they did up front. Also, Adrian Peterson didn't sign a mega deal when he signed here. His package is incentive-laden. Yep. So if he gets to 1,000 yards, I'm sure that's an extra 6 figures that are going to his pocket. So that's worth it, too, to be totally honest with you.
Real quick here, can we put any weight into this Urban Meyer being at the game? Is there
I would say where there's smoke, there's smoke. There's fire.
Hey, that's all I got to say. Something special.
Yes.
Well,
how much, I don't know, but it's very interesting, isn't it?
I mean, look, Dan Snyder has gone a lot of different directions in which kind of coach he's brought. He's brought in Joe Gibbs. Those have already won Super Bowls. He's brought in the guys that are trying to prove and earn something, go from the college ranks to the pro level. So this would be quite interesting. We'll keep an eye on that for you, and we'll see if Adrian does get to 1,000 yards as well today as he goes up against the Eagles. Not exactly easy to do against the Eagles because they have the 3rd best rush defense. All right, still to come here on Redskins Kickoff Live. The last time the Redskins franchise quarterback played hurt, RG3 made his injury much worse. Should the Washington Redskins have taken a more cautious approach with Haskins last week? That's next. And welcome back into Redskins Kickoff Live. Deron Payne is really coming into his own in his 2nd year, showing the NFL what he has to offer, especially to this Redskins team. As we welcome you in, we are coming to you from the West End Zone. Look, we love having the fans out here supporting us and all. Of course, you love to be able to have players putting up performances. Brian, what Deron Payne has been able to do as of late.
Well, you look at Deron Payne, he's a very nice guy, doesn't talk a lot, but when he gets on the football field, he handles business. He takes on 2 people most times. A lot of linebackers will go out there and do a great job. When I first saw him, I thought he had tree stumps coming out of his short. Dude has the biggest legs out there, but he's very strong, and he's a big impact on the defense.
Well, I think it's great to see his growth this far, being a young guy and really, only 2 years for you to see a guy to really grow that fast. I think it also sucks that, his group of guys don't get that recognition because of their season they're going through right now. But it's a lot of room for improvement, a lot of room for him to still dominate, and I think the sky's the limit for him.
I think he lost more games in the first September he was here than he did in the entire time he was at the University of Alabama. Yeah. And the thing is, what he does here, you talk about Santana, the improvement in his 2nd year. The blocking schemes aren't a whole lot different from a lot of what he saw in college. The difference is the guys here are bigger, stronger, and they execute it better.
Yeah.
And I think as he's acclimated to what he's facing, he's able to bring to bear what he does well. And it's not just power, and it's not just stuffing the run. He helps the pass rush as well in a lot of ways that sometimes don't show up in the stats. But I'll tell you, as he continues to acclimate to it, you'll continue to see him play, and I expect him to be a Pro Bowl player.
Yeah. Just his 2nd year, still growing in the NFL, making an impact for the Washington Redskins on defense. Well, NBC Sports Washington is your home for year-round Redskins coverage. Tune in after the game to Redskins Postgame Live for analysis, interviews, and reactions you can't get anywhere else. And log on at any time to NBCSportsWashington.com for the latest news on the Burgundy and Gold.
Hail to the Redskins.
Hey.
Is there a responsibility when that guy was the 15th overall pick and the future of your franchise to essentially protect him from himself and protect the investment?
Look, he's a tough guy. He played the game. He played through pain, okay?
So there was no way I was coming out the game. I hurt my ankle last high school game of my career, and I didn't come out. Wasn't gonna come out now. So there was talk about it, but I was going to play through it.
Why was Dwayne Haskins out there after he didn't seem like he could protect himself? I understand what he did, and I respect that. I'm sure a lot of players respect it.
This is a tough guy. He's a competitor. Quarterbacks are competitors, tough people. And I've got a lot of respect for Dwayne and what he went through, and totally was fine throughout the game.
He was taking some good hits as well, and he just continued to bounce back up and continue to help us, fight and help us try to win that game. So it was impressive.
I wasn't talking about it. I was playing. There was no talking about it.
There you go, the interim head coach, Bill Callahan, losing a little bit of patience, saying no, Dwayne was going to stay, and Dwayne, of course, saying I was fine to go. And every single player asked in that locker room about whether or not he should have stayed in, should have not. He said, look, he showed a lot of his character by fighting through it, telling his teammates, if I can be out there, I am going to. I will be on this field until something removes me, and it wasn't going to be the ankle last week. It is time now for players only. And in this segment, we want to ask the guys, because they've been playing a lot of games in the NFL, and a lot of those with injuries as well. First off, guys, I want to get your thoughts on whether or not you thought Dwayne should have been taken out earlier, because we know the history of quarterbacks for the Washington Redskins and injuries. Nobody wants to see that with Dwayne. And then also, what are some of the more, painful injuries that you guys played through in your careers?
Well, as I look at it, I think he should have stayed in the game just like he did. And I understand that people have this mindset because of what happened with RG3. But if you look at NFL for the long haul, I watched Aaron Rodgers limp around and play. I watched Doug Williams in the Super Bowl play. I watched Byron Leftwich in college be carried by his offensive lineman. People don't, that's the whole deal. The guys that are on that football field, you understand you're going to do some things that are not human. Let's just say it like that. And you don't think about coming out. I can understand reporters sitting there saying, well, he should have come out. No, that's not the way an athlete thinks.
Well, I think it's no big deal about what transpired last week with Dwayne Haskins and being a little nicked up. You're playing a game, football. You're playing a fierce game that you're going to have those moments where you get nicked up. Yeah. And the only reason why we're even talking about it is because of our history of the past quarterbacks. Well, their history is not his history.
There you go.
And I think, when you watch that game, he earned his stripes. He earned his stripes from those veterans, because the veteran players will look at him now and say, you know what, we appreciate you for gutting it out and staying in that game and giving us a chance to win it.
There you go.
And then down the line, they can always be assured that this guy's going to go out there and play no matter what he's got going on.
And there's a difference between nicked up and an injury that will deteriorate seriously if you play on it.
Yeah.
And they established that he was going to play in pain, but that was about the extent of it, and he showed that he was willing to.
Well, and as I look at it, when you think about our careers, you got 12 years, 14 years, 14 years. Yeah. I'm sure we played with games.
Yeah.
I had shoulder separation twice on each side, played through them. When I was in Philadelphia, my last 8 weeks, I got my knee drained on Wednesday and Sunday, but I played every game, played every practice. I wasn't going to miss the game because I owed something to my teammates, and I owed it to myself. You don't prepare the way that you do to not play with pain. I'm sure you play with some pain.
No doubt. No question. And just being a young guy, I remember that moment that I earned my stripes. I was in New York, and I was already getting so much slack on me because of my injury previous, to that year. And Mo Lewis, Marvin Jones, I talk about these guys so much because they meant so much to my career. But I remember the game. We were playing against the Pats, and they said, we need you. And I just hurt my ankle on Monday Night Football against the Oakland Raiders. And I went out there and gutted it out. We won the game. I put up some crazy numbers, and those guys gave me my stripes. They say, look here, we appreciate that, young guy.
There you go.
And I will never, forget that ever.
And Trevor, you played offensive line. I'm sure you played with injuries all the damn time.
A few, but the worst one happened when I was a long snapper. I got cheap shotted by a ram, tore my rotator cuff, 2 inches of rotator cuff tendon clean off the bone.
Wow.
That was in September, right? And that was in '96, Brian. Yep. You were there. And the thing is, I could still snap the ball because the rotator doesn't fire until you decelerate at the end of the snap. But then it feels like a grenade went off there. And from September to the end of the season, even though they told me I was going to have surgery, but they said that it wouldn't get much worse because it was already torn off. All right, so what happened is I couldn't sleep at night for more than about an hour at a time because the pain would wake me up. Then I would take my hand, and I couldn't move my arm at that point. I wake up in pain, and I couldn't move my arm. So it would take me about 5 minutes literally 5 minutes, I timed it once, to get it into a position to where I could sleep, and then I'd sleep for another hour. And that went on for 3 months, right? But it was dealing with the pain because they said that I wouldn't get worse. And that's why we talk about Haskins.
Yeah.
You know, is it going to get worse or isn't it?
And I think when you look at it, you hear story after story. Jack Youngblood played with a broken leg. You look at my man Ronnie Lott, had a finger cut off and went back into the football game and played. You hear story after story like that because athletes are athletes, and a lot of the people outside looking at it, your spectators, just understand the guys are built differently. They don't think the same, and you're going to see them do some things you wouldn't ordinarily do. All right, let's go back to you, Julie.
Wow, toughness for sure all across the board. Dwayne showing he's tough as well. A lot of changes, though, this offseason could potentially be coming. Could we see new general manager in the front office? And then there's a lot of smoke around Bruce Allen's job security. We're going to bring back J.P. Finley and see just how much validity there is to any of this. And 52 weeks a year, Larry Michael brings you the latest on the Burgundy and Gold and Redskins Nation. 30 minutes every day on your team, coming to you from the team facility in Ashburn. Skin Tangibles, player interviews, inside access, Redskins Nation, weekdays at 5:30 on NBCSportsWashington.com. We'll be right back.
Josh Allen and the Bills face TJ Watt and the Steelers. And you can get in on the action with the free-to-play game Sunday Night 7 on NBC Sports Predictor. There's $100,000 guaranteed in cash prizes each week, $2 million total this season.
Sunday Night 7, we love playing along with this, not just because there's an opportunity to get extra cash, but it's fun. It's fun to play along. We always get to do that right here. So tonight you have the Bills and the Steelers going in, both in the hunt for the wild card in the AFC. Let's start here. How many passing yards for Josh Allen? I mean, this is a quarterback. The beginning of the year couldn't do anything, just gave up interceptions. Yeah. He's really come on as of late. Is it going to be between 200 and 249? Or more than two? If he's in this wind, he might not be able to do too much. Yeah. But he's not playing here in this wind. Brian, where would you go for him?
As I look at Josh Allen, he's a guy who can run the football very effectively. But I believe that they're going to have to run that ball as a team. I'm going to go under 200 yards with Josh Allen.
Absolutely. I believe that he will probably do more with his feet, but I'll say up to 200. I don't see more than 200.
Yeah, I'll go 200 to 249 because I think they'll need it. And one thing he does well is throw it deep. He only needs to connect on a couple of those to make it.
And the Steelers are top 5 against the pass, by the way. So we'll see which one wins out of that one.
They're going to be top 20 after this game.
Wow.
How about this if we're talking about sacking? He's been sacked 33 times so far this season, and he has T.J. Watt coming at him. My goodness, something with those Watt brothers. He has 12 and a half sacks so far this season. So how many will he get today?
T.J. Watt, I'm going to go with 1.5.
I say one, a lot of pressures. I think one of the things he do well is put a lot of pressure on quarterbacks. He's not always so lucky because you got a guy like Allen who can escape. So he'll get one tonight.
You know, I think he'll be 2+ tonight because I think Allen will have to make some plays from the pocket and he'll have to spend some extra time back there to wait for his receivers to get open. I think Watt's going to have a big day.
All right, let's talk about wins or losses. Which one's going to be walking away with the W, Santana?
Well, all I need is the Bills to cover. So I'm going to say as long as they do that, but they'll win.
I'm going to go with Buffalo. You know, I love the coach up there. I was with him in Philadelphia, so I'm pulling for Buffalo. I'll take Buffalo wins.
The last time Buffalo won in Pittsburgh, Josh Allen wasn't born yet. They break that streak, and they win because of their defense.
There you go.
All right, the Bills. We're talking about the Bills, the long-awaited Bills and the Steelers with all the injuries they've been going through. Should be a good game tonight. And by the way, here's something cool. 3 Edmond brothers will be playing. Trey, Terrell, and then Tremaine for the Bills. Talk about family lineage there. Tonight, Sunday Night Football, Josh Allen, the Buffalo Bills take on T.J. Watt and the Pittsburgh Steelers. And you can get in on the action playing Sunday Night 7 for free on the NBC Sports Predictor app with $100,000 in guaranteed cash prizes handed out every week. Time to go back down to the sideline here back in Ashburn at FedEx Field, We've been in Ashburn all week and bringing our Redskins insider, J.P. Finley. J.P., this season there's been a lot of punting. That means the special teams have been putting in a lot of work, but it's a good thing they have Tress Way because at least you know when he's on the field, he is going to put you in good position. You had a good talk with him, Nick Sundberg, earlier this week, in talking Pro Bowl too.
Yeah, always good to sit down and talk with those guys. And I'll be honest, the Redskins Talk podcast that I'm a part of, we've been openly campaigning for Tress Way to get to the Pro Bowl, and he deserves it. Last year he went through the whole season with no touchbacks. This year he's first in the NFL in net punting. That's the numbers these guys care the most about. I think plenty of other coaches around the league have noticed. This week I got to sit down with Tress and with Nick Sundberg to talk about the work they've put in so far. There are people that make the very real statement that you're the team's best player.
That
gets said a lot.
I know. So I was talking to somebody recently, and in 2014 I got cut for the second time by the Chicago Bears, and then the Redskins claimed me, and that was the first time in my professional career that a team wanted me. It wasn't like an off-season contract and things like that. It was somebody claimed me off the waiver wire, and since that rookie year, since that first year, the fans have been so awesome to me. I love talking to everybody before, after the game, even during the game, and TV timeouts, 2-minute warning. One of my favorites.
He talks too much.
I do not talk too much.
Don't take any selfies.
I do not take selfies, but
I had to pull him away a couple times.
I don't take selfies with the fans in the middle of the game, but whenever I'm over there talking, a couple of the fans will be like, "Hey, Tress, run a fake," and I'll look at them. I'm like, "Hey, here it comes. Fake's coming," and I go out and just punt it. And I'm like, "Hey, do you think we were really running a fake?" I'm not gonna tell you if we're running a fake, but so it's just fun it's fun to have that interaction. It is. Nick's right, man. Just being a part of this franchise with this fan base and being liked to have around. That's a really cool feeling. I'm very thankful for that.
You're going to be uncomfortable with this.
Oh, man.
Are you the best punter in the league?
So I think that the best...
Statistically, right now, you are.
Okay, so statistically
right?
this
Hype man?
season...
Yes.
So
statistically, yes.
Statistically this season, I am having the best season. There are guys in the league that I believe that I am trying to get into that group of elite, where year in and year out, they are going to be in the top third of the league, and consistently year in, year out, all over the place, wherever they played. That's the goal I want to be in the coming years, of being considered that elite group year in, year out.
You've worked with a lot of punters. What kind of year is Tress having?
I mean, historical, really. I think we would break the record for the best net ever in the history of the Washington Redskins. So, I mean, when you're talking about ever type stuff, that's a big deal. And by almost 2 yards if we finish where we are today. And a yard in net punting is...
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
You heard Tress. You heard Tress there. He certainly had an impressive year, and some of that is the Redskins' offensive woes have had him on the field more than maybe a good team would have their punter out there. But he is deserving of that Pro Bowl spot, and if he gets there, odds are he'll get to bring Nick Sundberg, who's been in the league over a decade, and a guy that is well-liked by his teammates here, former teammates, coaches around the NFL. Let's hope for those two that there's a good story to tell in this Redskins season. The biggest story, however, in this Redskins season is the future of team president Bruce Allen. The speculation is growing and intensifying that Bruce Allen will be gone from his position at the end of the year. Until that happens, until you hear officially that Bruce is out, it's hard to know what will happen. Bruce Allen has dodged bullets before. There have been embarrassing situations with the Redskins, and Bruce Allen has kept his job. I'll say this, I saw him come out on the field earlier today by himself. I don't know that he'll be up in the owner's box with Dan Snyder and Urban Meyer. There's plenty of speculation about what's going to happen next with Bruce Allen. I've had sources tell me they expect him to be gone. But until that's final, until it's official, don't count Bruce Allen out. That much I know.
All right, thank you very much, JP. So much to keep an eye on. Of course, we know NBCSportsWashington.com. You'll have everything covered there. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Thank you, Julie.
All right, guys, so you heard JP talking about that. Look, we've been talking about this for a little bit of a while. Bruce Allen in the future of that, you have to think that, okay, maybe he's out of the football part, but maybe he stays around for the stadium. But to my understanding, you kind of can't have him being both. If he's out for football, you can't really have him in the building for any of that. But if you bring in a new general manager, what kind of a general manager would you want?
Well, I need a guy who has a football mind, a guy who's has an experience at constructing a football team. One thing about being a general manager, you have to be able to get guys on the team and understand that they're an asset for the moment. You can't get attached to people. You need to be thinking about the future. And I think that's the whole thing. For the last few years, we seem to fall in love with people. You can't do that as you move forward.
Definitely need a guy that has experience. I think the experience matters because you're dealing with an organization that really needs to climb out of a lot of crap. So you can't bring someone in here who's just a hot name that looking for a job. But I say, along with that experience, you need someone that's going to have a great scouting staff. I like a few guys that's already up there, guys that's familiar with the team. But I know you're also going to need some of those guys that you have that you know that can go out and get the job done for you.
Do you want somebody that's maybe already in-house familiar with the Redskins, or do you need to go all the way outside and say we are starting?
You know, that's not something that I ever think of. But like I said before, I like a couple of names that we have in-house, so maybe they can be, you know, hired for that job, or you know, get a raise. You know what I mean, and have a different job and stay here, stay put.
You wouldn't know it by the record this year, but there's actually some good things going on there.
Yes.
And so I don't think you need to necessarily clean house. I think that there's some tweaks that are necessary. But when you look at the young roster that's being built, the kinds of guys, they have a plan, and that's the key. You talk about whether or not you want an experienced guy or a young guy to be a general manager. What you need is a plan. And the plan needs to be proven to be successful. And the plan that's in place right now to populate this roster is to bring in college football players who played at big programs, played in big games, and it's especially helpful if they were team captains in those situations. A lot of guys have come in from places like Alabama and Ohio State and Iowa, and that young core of this team, even amidst the wreckage of this season, is building a future that we can see now has a lot of promise in just a few years. So you don't want to throw all that stuff out. There are some good things that they can build on.
That's true.
You know, I feel like in a 3-9 season, it'd be easy just to say it. I mean, everything's a total wash. I know a lot of times we're trying to find something positive throughout the season, and there is talent on this team. A lot of it's being put in the right positions in order to make plays. And when you're put in that position, to make sure that you're trying to do that to impress whatever general manager or head coach you may have. One of those players as of late that has been doing that is Fabian Moreau, as he moved from inside to outside in the secondary. So what has been the big difference? Well, earlier today, Santana and I took to the field to kind of do a little demonstration to figure it out.
One player that's been of interest as of late is Fabian Moreau, because he was moved from the inside to the outside where he played in college, and he says, look, I'm more natural, more comfortable there. He's got 3 interceptions in the last few games. Why is it he's finding success from the slot to the outside? First off, Santana, let's go to the challenges of playing the inside.
Well, one of the things about playing the inside corner, which we call the slot corner, is that you have to have 4 characteristics. And one of those characteristics is speed. The other 3 are footwork, great hips, and being very agile. So one of the things about the slot, it's a two-way go. So you have a guy like myself, that which I lit up guys in the inside, he has a two-way option. He can go here, and then you have to worry about him sitting here, and then he can go on here. So you gotta think about it. You're in the middle of the field, and there's a guy like myself have a two-way option on you, and it's a whole bunch of field. So you have to worry about all those things. And I think the best thing for guys who play that position in the inside is having great skills to be able to read plays. You have to be able to understand what's coming at you to contain a guy like myself in the slot.
So now he's at the outside and, again, finding some success. What is it that he's doing so well there?
See, one of the things about the slot receiver is it's so dynamic for those guys to play that position. But when you're playing outside corner, you have a friend out there, and that's the boundary. And I used to always tell myself that one of the things I can't do is get myself caught up on the outside, because that guy can use the sideline to his best advantage. And so a slot corner will sit up there and he's worried about making sure that he can read everything that you do. The outside corner's not worried. What he wants to do is put you to his friend, and that's the boundary. So you go out here and go outside, he rides you, and now he turns his hips. He knows at the end of the day that I got protection back there. I have my friend if I need to lean on him, and that's the boundary.
And then if there's an interception coming my way?
Hey, I'm going to take it.
And maybe Fabian will have those opportunities today with Carson Wentz. Apparently, though, he's been dealing with a hamstring injury. So how much he plays today, it is going to be up to Fabian. Quentin Dunbar is out as well, so there could be an opportunity where we see Josh Norman back on the field. But talking a bit about Fabian, I asked him in the locker room earlier this week, and I said, you know, since you naturally want the outside and that's what you played where you're more comfortable, kind of how hard was it having to sit back and wait before he could have those opportunities? He said, look, it was definitely a little bit frustrating for him, but all he can do now is say, all right, he's been given the opportunity, go out there and take advantage of it. And of course, he keeps thinking, interception, I want more interceptions. Santana, did I do okay, by the way?
You did a great job.
Yeah.
You know, I say that you've been watching my film. You must be watching my highlights last night.
You've got some burst.
Hey, you know, I didn't want to totally embarrass Tana, just keep running in for the touchdown.
Yeah, because I'm stepping old these days.
You know, I think Fabian Moreau playing in the slot made him a better outside corner.
Right.
The slot corners, people always talk about, he's the third corner. And you would think that means the guy is the third best cornerback on the team. But the guy that can play that slot corner at a high level, he might be better than the other two. Because he's playing two directions. As Santana said in his in his demonstration, you use the sideline. You playing one way or the other. But when you're in that slot, you have to play anything. They can come out, go right, left, or up the field on you. When you can be very good at that, then you're extremely good. So I think him playing inside made him a better outside corner.
And we saw that when he first moved outside, when Josh Norman ended up giving way to him a few games ago. We saw him thrive out there. It was like, okay, well, we always saw him as a guy with potential, but all of a sudden we're seeing that potential fulfilled when he's on the outside.
And like we always say, and I use this because my high school football coach always say, opportunity favors the most prepared. Being in the inside for so long, those first 2 years, it prepared him for whatever else he might have to take on. So now being on the outside, he can see things a little different. So having that experience, being beat, being torched that time, we got on him plenty of times, of how guys got advantage of or took advantage of him in the inside. Now he's on the outside licking his chops, knowing that he saw everything in the book.
They brought up Danny Johnson as well, so we could see him back out there. He's now been active on the roster, and as well, Jimmy Moreland there in the slot. The big thing for him is he's learning his position is just to focus on in. And it was seeing the potential of the secondary, because all season long there's just been miscommunication and plays given up, big plays given up. This is a great opportunity because they are so short on wide receivers. Really, all you got to do is stop Zach Ertz in this one, and maybe you'll be okay. All right, so we'll see how the secondary shakes out today and how much Fabian Moreau will play. But we are not done. Pete Haley, he's out with Cowboys fans, Giants fans. He's survived a trip up north hanging out with the Bills Mafia. Today, he faces his biggest challenge yet. It's the Eagles fans. Are they nice to him?
Have the love and the passion to play this game, man. I'm telling you, man, when I'm out there, I'm giving everything, not because of self, because I want to accomplish the ultimate goal. That's get that W, man. We got what it takes, man. Hey, lean on each other. Let's play for fourth quarter. Hey, 5-1 is how we need to finish this season, man. Let's get this dub today, baby. Play for each other, baby. Bam on three. 1, 2, 3.
Pretty amazing. Adrian Peterson leading the huddle on the verge of another 1,000-yard season. After the Redskins and Eagles wrap things up on the field, flip back over to NBC Sports Washington for Redskins post-game live. All four of us, we will be here. We'll bring you reaction analysis and interviews as the Redskins look for their first division win of the year. That would also mean Dwayne Haskins Jr. is looking for his first. He's going to have to do it without the help of Darius Geis, as Darius has been placed on IR. He will not be playing anymore. Haskins is in. His former coach, Urban Meyer, is in the building. He will be sitting with owner Dan Snyder. Just something to keep a little bit of an eye on. So here we are, taking on the Eagles. And, of course, everybody in Washington, they're not really friendly or fond of their friends out in Philadelphia. Pete Haley is out just finding out what Philadelphia fans are up to here in burgundy and gold territory.
They say birds fly south in the winter, and unfortunately, people from Philadelphia do as well. However, instead of ignoring them, I'm going to engage them today by asking them a bunch of questions to gauge how crazy they are about their Eagles and their other Philadelphia sports teams in a game show I like to call, How Philly Are You? How did you celebrate the Eagles Super Bowl a couple years ago?
I was with my cousins, and I tried doing backflip off my couch.
How did that go for you?
I turned 28 years old on the Eagles Super Bowl victory. So I cried. Yeah, I cried.
I was down there, and we were on the right on Broad Street. We were at Lucky Strike, and we came out and we celebrated with all the fans right down there. And I was living in Chicago at the time. So we drove down just for the game.
I went to the Rocky Balboa statue outside of the Art Museum.
And what did you do with the Rocky Balboa statue? You just kind of praise it and kneel at its altar?
Well, and that's on any given day. But after the Super Bowl, we basically sang Fly Eagles Fly.
How many Rockies have you seen? All of them?
Oh, yes. Definitely all of them. Twice at least.
Really? It's like watching Die Hard. It's a Christmas, you know. You got to watch Rocky, you know, especially Rocky IV, you know, because it's him fighting Drago.
Have you called into a Philadelphia radio show recently to complain about a Philly sports team?
Hell no. Fan true and blue. Pop up, Grampy, we love you. Keep fighting the cancer.
Are batteries meant for supplying power to things like remote controls, or are they meant to be thrown at opposing teams' players?
Depends on if Dallas is in town or not. Dallas in town, you know what they're used for.
I can't believe I'm standing in between two people in Eagles that apparently you get from Walmart. Duh. Go ahead, say it. Take the microphone. It's yours.
Go Birds! Eagles!
We need FedEx Field back so soon.
A work in progress. Carson Wentz plays pretty well against the Washington Redskins, but we'll see how much pressure they can put him under because he's not having exactly the greatest of seasons either. There are opportunities to either take him down, have him fumble the ball, or maybe grab some interceptions. The Eagles are just 6-7 after 2 years later after winning the Super Bowl. The NFC East is a bit of a mess because the Eagles and the Cowboys are right there at the top of it. Brian, what is going on?
I don't know what's going on. This used to be the black and blue division.
Terrible.
And everybody in the NFL, they looked up to the NFC East. Right now, it's not like that. You know, you got two teams that's 6-7 that are in first place. Then you have the Redskins and the Giants with 5 victories amongst those 2 or 3 teams. They need to get back to, I believe, running the damn football and pounding, and then also flash the pass and going down the field. Both defense and offense have to improve because this division has to get back to what it used to be.
For as good as I said the Eagles are against the rush, they're the 3rd best in the league in rush defense. They have allowed a rushing touchdown the last 4 games, so there is an opportunity for Adrian Peterson to get to the end zone, though.
Definite opportunity, and, you know, just to get back on, you know, the Eagles, what happened to them? They was in this division, I voted them. I picked them to win this division. They still have a chance, but I think one of the things you can say that's handicapped them this year is just their lack of explosive players. You know, you had a Deshaun Jackson early in the year. He's gone. Alshon Jeffrey's gone. Aguilar, they said he couldn't even catch a cold in Alaska. So, you know, when it comes to all this stuff that's going on with them, that's one of their main reasons, having guys that they can't count on.
Yeah, and those injuries have gone a long ways towards the Eagles' record. All the teams in the NFC East are struggling for different reasons. Eagles, it's injuries. Cowboys, it's disarray. Giants and Redskins, well, they got a long ways to go.
Yeah.
But the Redskins have a chance to exploit those injuries that the Eagles have had.
Yes.
All right, and we'll see. I mean, you get to play the role of spoiler. That's not exactly the position you had wanted or hoped that this team would be in coming in here. But now, as Coach said, look, it is important to be able to get that win. They've lost 5 straight against the Eagles, 7 straight in the division. You want to be able to have that opportunity. As we mentioned starting the show, they're going to be looking, because right now it's an interim head coach, Bill Callahan. They're looking for their future head coach. Urban Meyer is here. Trevor, he had him. Urban Meyer had Dwayne Haskins Jr. at college. I don't know that that's the best relationship or opportunity going forward, but either way, you're going to explore it.
Well, he coached Dwayne Haskins and Terry McLaurin, and he understands those guys. The thing about Urban Meyer, though, is that he might be here just to visit his guys and watch them play in person. That's very possible. But a lot of people are asking right now, does this mean he might be the coach? And I will say this, that Urban Meyer would be a phenomenal coach here or anywhere else. To me, he is elite for a lot of reasons, but the biggest reason is that no one is better on any level of football at developing a culture of leadership, both with his players and with his assistants. And so if he does come here or if he does coach again anywhere else, that's why he will be great. It's not about X's and O's.
Leader of men, got to be that.
Look, I love what he did for the University of Florida, being a little personal Gator. I know he's winning. Moving that move to the NFL is totally a different organization, totally a different piece to try and take on. Look, the Redskins are going to have to do their due diligence going forward, which whatever decisions they do make. But right now, they're going forward, taking on the Eagles, seeing if they can upset their season. Thanks for joining us on Redskins Kickoff Live. We'll be here, same place, for Redskins Post-Game Live with analysis and reaction and hopefully a victory.